Hello, this is the start of a new series about Mercury through the houses, and I thought we'd just talk about Mercury a little bit first and get to know what it actually indicates. So, in the natural zodiac, Mercury rules uh, third house and sixth house, Gemini and Virgo. So they're both of them are actually dual houses. One is air sign, Gemini. The other one is an earth sign, which is Virgo. So they're both very, very important houses. They're both Upachaya houses, which means they're big time, and once you start working with them, they start to get better. And this is really very much indicative of what Mercury is, because Sun is the king, Moon is the queen, and this is their son, their child. So there is, wherever we have in our charts Mercury, we are slightly immature about it, because obviously this is about young children, kids, youth, adolescents, students. So this is all very much about the process of growing and things in wherever. Then once we apply ourselves, things get better. So there is a naivety about the house that Mercury resides in our chart. So I thought we'd just have a look and just see, what kind of things are indications for Mercury. So Mercury is obviously communication, because it rules the third house of natural zodiac. So you're born in the first, in the second one, obviously you're with family, you start to speak. And then third house is you start to move, express yourself, communicate what your needs are. So it's very much about self-expression, and you start using your hands and gestures. So as a baby, you see that they know what it is to say goodbye. They just, if they don't like something, they can use their hands and just like push the food away if they don't want to. So it's very much about like learning to let the others how you are feeling, and that actually never leaves you. And we know, all of us in life, that people who have the most fulfilling lives and relationships are the people who can actually express themselves fully, let the people know they kind of know, they know their own boundaries. They just know how, when things doesn't sound right, they can just communicate it. And those are friends and family members that we respect most, because we know that if they don't want to do anything, they can't be persuaded really, and they know themselves, they know their mind. Sometimes they're a little bit willful, but nonetheless, though, it's not a bad thing. So it actually rules Mercury rules friends, siblings, communication, any form of communication, rules the arts, rules things like intellect. I think Sun is intelligence and Mars is logic, but Mercury is practical and intellectual, and that's, I think, one of the things that Sage Gemini says about the sixth house, is that it's an important sign of the zodiac, because it's like literally how you get by day to day, how you manage yourself, manage your life, manage your money. Without a good Mercury, people can hoard, people can't, they just cannot, they become like victims of their own weakness, if you like, in relationships, in jobs, etc., where they can't express themselves, and people think that they're okay with the status quo, and then there's just misunderstanding going on there. So it is a very, very important thing. But obviously, both third and sixth house, there are Upachaya houses, so they do get better with time. But generally speaking, because it rules friends, neighbours, siblings, and your colleagues as well, so it's literally is how we kind of interact with people, friendships, associates, those kind of things are all very mercurial things. Mercury rules currency, stock exchange, stock market. It any kind of work which is paperwork, like clerical work, learning, students, schools, any form of travel, moving around, exercise, being active, being out and about, hobbies and interests. I mean, it's such an important planet. Jobs to do with computer as well, so any form of technology, mobile phones, computers, satellite dishes, anything like that is all to do with graphic design, marketing, visual arts generally, things you make with your hands, any form of talents and skills, courses that you do to learn things that then they can apply to your life. All of those are to do with your third house, which is all to do with Mercury. So Mercury is siblings, and obviously in the third house, it's also your will and your bravery as well, because this is when you've been born, you start to talk, then you start to express yourself, and you start to become brave. This is probably the time when your brother or sister, younger or older brother and sister, they come and take your toy away, and you have to fight for your toy, because this is like, no, this is mine. So you have to be brave and tell the person no, set boundaries and allow them, or if they do something wrong, you kind of brave it and say, don't do it, don't touch my toy, don't eat my sweets, things like that. So it's that kind of thing as well. It says also it rules fast food, because it's a fast moving planet, and so this is when you meet up with friends, go for a cafe, go to their coffee shop, have a coffee, and maybe an express sort of food like sandwiches and pizza. All those sort of takeaway foods, fast foods, are all ruled by Mercury. So, and it's obviously travel, but short distance travel is ruled by Mercury. And so this is the reason why when you're actually working, because Mercury likes to be busy, and is curious as a planet. So when you actually get really stuck on a project, it's really good to start moving. Just go for a short walk or make yourself a drink and just move around a little bit, and that kind of helps Mercury, develop things. It's strong in the first house, so it gets directional strength in the first house. But it also means that in the first house there is things that needs to be developed, because wherever Mercury is in our chart, that's where we are a little bit young about it, a bit naive and immature maybe even about it, because we don't really, it's a young thing, it's a young planet, and it needs to develop over time, and things just get better with time. However, in the first house, it will always have that real focus. From there, it will be aspecting your seventh house, so it indicates that you want to be with somebody, because Mercury also rules games and having fun, doing fun things, comedy, being comedic, jokes, things like that. So it likes a bit of banter. And so when it's aspect in the seventh house, you want to be with somebody who maybe was your friend, you can be friendly with, you can chat to, you can have a laugh with, and do like fun things together, like go to dance classes together, or you go to, I don't know, go to walking groups, or just kind of interact, go to the cinema together, travel together quite a lot. They like that. They like somebody who's active. They go maybe to hikes and go skiing together and things like that. So these will be very important to them. And it also rules kind of interaction in terms of business and commerce. It's all ruled by by Mercury as well. Mercury does make the person, particularly if it's strong in their chart, multi-talented, because they want to know a little bit about everything. And you find that when you have Mercury Dasha or Mahadasha, as Mahadasha or the Subdasha, Antardasha, you actually get interested in all forms of different things. If it falls like in your, because it's data and information, and particularly if it falls in your 8th house during a Dasha, you want to do research to gain more information. You're just hungry for information. And it rules as a planet, obviously 3rd house rules your hands, your arms and shoulders, and in the 6th house rules your digestive system. And so, and the Mercury in the first house or anything like that will actually, you also kind of notice that he has got third and sixth house indications as well, but obviously in different houses that house indications will come into it as well. So Mercury does really well obviously in Gemini because it rules Gemini, and it also rules Virgo. Virgo is not just own house, but at 15 degrees is actually also the exaltation degree of Mercury. And from 15 to 20 degrees, it's actually, I probably say the rest of it, it's like more Trachona sign, which means like the head office of very comfortable there. And it also is debilitated in Pisces. And obviously, you know, Mercury is friendly with the Sun, Venus and Saturn and Rahu, Ketu. But it very much struggles with Jupiter and also with Mars. These are the two planets that are not good with for Mercury. Mercury does, if it is close to Saturn, it will have issues because obviously it means that it develops even later. There's a shyness about it, has difficulty expressing itself, and there's always like, particularly because it is also a planet that's it's an earthy planet, even though it rules an air sign and an earth sign, but generally speaking it is an earthy sign. It likes material things, and so when it is in earthy signs, it can have a jealousy issue as well, because it is the green-eyed thing as well, you know, because it's immature about things, so it can have like those things as well. So so generally speaking though, if it is in an earthy sign or in earthy planet nakshatras, person has got to really work in order to move forward, not to actually be hung up on what other people have or what other people did, and actually just free themselves of all that and then just move themselves forward. Because when you work with Mercury really well, Mercury gives you a lot of things in life because it's a fun planet, and why wouldn't you want to have all the fun in your life? So, and obviously this is going to be about a sort of like a Mercury that's not in conjunction or aspected by any planets. I'm just going to give you the purest form, and it naturally also rules the skin and rules respiratory system and also your nervous system and allergies. So you often find when it is either in transit or in a dasha, or if in your chart naturally is actually in, say, in Jupiter sign or in Mars signs. In Mars, it will give you inflammation of the skin, so you have to really kind of, as with anything, it gets better with time. You know, because Mars is impulsive, and obviously this is Mercury's planet of speech, so it can give you reactive, impulsive speech. You say things without thinking, because that's what Mars does. You know, sort of agitates Mercury, and that can happen with conjunction, aspect, or Mercury sitting in Mars's sign. So that can happen. That can happen the opposite as well if Mars is in Mercury signs too. When it is with Jupiter, or in Jupiter nakshatras, or in Jupiter signs, or Jupiter also in Mercury signs, they're opposites, and they really are very different agenda. So Mercury is a bit gossipy, and it's a little bit fickle because it's a planet of fast moving. It's young, and obviously, you know, Jupiter is wisdom, the wise one, the older one, you know. So and so there is like a gender issue there. So that can also, because also what happens with Jupiter expands everything as well. So you'll find that the person who has that, they can't stop talking. And sometimes even if it's happening in, like, say, for example, in transit, you can't help yourself but just like over talking. It's such a chatty, or if Rahu does the same thing, expands like the speech, but not in a bad way. But with Jupiter it does, because Jupiter just can't stop it, because it expands it. And Jupiter can be a little bit like what's the Jupiter is a little bit like I know best kind of thing. So it gives that kind of it projects that onto Mercury as well, so things come out like that. And sometimes it creates problems with the nervous system. And obviously because Jupiter rules liver, we can actually start having liver issues. So we have to be careful about those kind of things. Be just working on our planets, because remember, our planets are us. It's how we. So once you can actually work with wisdom with everything. But I really do think it's a wonderful, wonderful way to use your chart really well to your advantage. So. Obviously, because it rules your respiratory system, some of the remedies with Mercury are really easy. So I think Mercury always does better if you got afflicted Mercury, is to always be aware that you need to exercise, you need to be active, and you need to spend time with friends and cousins as well, because six houses, cousins and aunts and things like that. So. And you just want to be like, so do connect with people, do join groups if they are interested in cooking, do a cooking class, carpentry, things like that, because they can be very multi-talented. And it really does you good to do some breathing exercises, meditation, yoga, things like that, but particularly breathing, just learning to breathe. And because it rules the respiratory system, and that really, the oxygenation really helps your digestive system, because it rules the digestive system. And normally Mercury, sixth house Mercury has got issues, but if it's or sixth house or Mercury, or it gives you digestive issues. So you can have all those things like candida and Crohn's disease and things like that can occur because of that. So by oxygenating and slowing things down, it can really help. Just taking, using the best in best things in life. So just wanted to say also, so wherever Mercury is, it will also aspect 7 houses away only. That's the only time. And so what will happen is those areas of your life, you do well to share them with friends. And it kind of, because it's also a benefic planet, it really helps kind of have an approach with it that that things will improve. Mercury is the only planet that changes its nature according to the planets that it sits with. So if it's conjunct malefics like Rahu, Ketu, Sun, Mars or Saturn, it does become malefic. And also, so its nature can be a little bit negative. And also the other thing I wanted to say was that it's I only take 8 degrees away from the sun as a combustion, because it's a planet that is friendly with the sun and travels with the sun and Venus normally. So therefore, it can actually work really, really well with the sun, as long as within 8 degrees. Obviously, if it's retrograde, then you have to really kind of take maybe 10 degrees. But generally speaking, it does work okay with the sun. It gives good intelligence as long as both of them are ruling good houses for you. But yeah, so the house that they're in, they're definitely going to be, if it is on its own, then it's going to be really good. So anyway, that's about Mercury. Thank you. And Mercury in the 9th house. So this is when Mercury in the natural zodiac rules 3rd and the 6th house of natural zodiac. And as you know, in the actual introduction, I was saying about how Mercury is like the young planet. So it's kind of, it's the child. So in a sense, we, wherever it is in our chart, we need to, there's a bit of immaturity, or there's a bit of like innocence about it, if you like, which actually gets better with time. And this is why the houses that it naturally uses, the third and sixth house, they're upachaya houses. And with time, we get to know how to look after those indications. So also it's because it's a curious planet as well. And, you know, like kids are able to absorb information really quickly. This is the reason why it's a planet of learning as well. And it's able to multitask, it's able to gain a lot of knowledge very quickly, and it can probably, because of that, it can also recall very easily as well, because it's obviously rules the sixth house of house of intellect. So it has a lot of good things about it, you know. So now it's going to, in the ninth house. Ninth natural sign of the zodiac is obviously Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter. And Jupiter in terms of age is a lot older than, a lot wiser than Mercury, if you like. So, and it is it's the bigger picture, and Mercury is this, you know, the detail, smaller picture kind of thing. So their agendas are quite different. So often, though, it's funny how both mercurial houses have Jupiter as their seventh house, and vice versa. So it just, even though they are their enemy planets, there is an attraction, because obviously Jupiter is, particularly Jupiter Sagittarius in a sense, ninth house, is quite kind of, it's almost a little bit like what it does. It has like, almost like a class system, if you like. So it chooses who wants to hang out with, but it's attracted to what would be like a gossipy, quite like somebody on their social media, things like that, because they're the wise person, and they are preaching this like, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. However, they're quite interested in the sort of like the what you call the curiosity, the innocence, the whatever, you know. I don't mean it's a young person or anything like that. I just mean that, what, you know, that Gemini person is going to be like very trendy, very I don't know, very aware of how they look, how they are, and everything. And this is like the planet that it's like Jupiter rules the ninth house, so it's like it's very very much like, oh, you know, I've got to do the right thing, stuff like that. So it's funny, isn't it, how things happen. So this is like, brings the two planets of learning together. So whereas Mercury is very interested in all subjects, in a sense, wants to learn a little bit about everything. It's like jack of all trades, they call it, master of none in a sense. And then you have the Sagittarius, which is, or the ninth house, which is all about the wisdom, the higher education, you know, degrees, masters, PhDs, philosophy, all those kind of amazing classics, culture, travel, religion, belief system, spirituality, all those kind of things. And now you've got Jupiter in there, and Jupiter is, it's like, you know, like for example, it's learning, but it's learning perhaps like about, oh, this particular recipe looks good, really good. Oh, how about this aerospace thing? It's really nice, you know, and it's going across. Oh, I've seen this car, and it's got this like horsepower. What, you know, all these kind of things coming together, and so it's quite interesting, because it's going to be quite intellectual in a sense. Very good at learning, very good at this will be planet of organization, planning, intellect, going into the house of knowledge. So in those terms, these people can make really excellent, particularly if 10th house lord aspects it, or is you know, in some way connected to it. but obviously we're talking about like a Mercury that's like has got no conjunctions or aspects. So yeah, in those terms, it would be very knowledgeable, and it'll be very highly intellectual in the sense that it can actually recall things. It's able to connect all the dots very easily. It's well traveled, well cultured, and everything. But it's still, there's a Gemini thing in there that's like that rubs the Jupiter person, or Jupiter and Mercury. That's the reason why it kind of expands things, because Sagittarius, tends to do that. Tends to really expand. It's like that Jupiterian expansion, optimism, and everything. So it makes one very idealistic. And so all these ideas, which are like Mercury, are now expanded. And Mercury is already like dabbling in lots of different things. So it can really confuse the person. It can bring too much information. And then it'll be a little bit too much to process, in a sense. So this is what it's really good, and it can make the person really kind of because stressed, his nervous system, is being agitated. Your speech is being agitated by the expansion of Jupiterian energy that is with the ninth house. So it is quite interesting, really. But what it does in today's world, it works really well in a sense, because obviously if I just go through all the things about, because this is like ninth house. So ninth house is basically publishing. It's a trinal house, so it's very, very important. It's learning, higher learning, luck and wisdom. It's also gives you a flavour of your dad. Higher education, religion, belief system. Fortune and happiness. So this house is house of fulfillment. This is what ninth house is. So when they say happiness and luck can be nothing. You got absolutely nothing. However, you are happy. You don't need to have, all the time. This is when you just kind of think, I'm happy in my skin. You've achieved that ninth house thing. You've made peace with your life. You've made peace with your chart. And you're accepting. This is higher knowledge. It's classics, ancient wisdom, religion, and obviously it's all to do with Sagittarius, original ninth house, Jupiter, and so yeah. So this is the two flavors together, and it'll be like talking about high knowledge, talking about wisdom, talking about belief system, talking about education, learning, travel, ancient things, history, philosophy, all that kind of stuff. But what it does, because basically Mercury is the merchant, is like the exchange, stock exchange, all that kind of thing. It's marketing, it's like design and internet and all that kind of stuff. So it's trying to bring that awareness of philosophy and religion, spirituality now to the masses. That's what it's trying to do. So it's trying to communicate that message, which is normally it's something that there's a little bit of like a reservedness about the ninth house, and now it's being challenged by Mercury. So it is quite interesting, but that is also how things are nowadays. I think Mercury, wherever it is, we need to utilize it really well, and we know that it will get better with time as well. The maturity will set in, and so these people can be very much like avid writers, publishers, and it could also be like you could be a flavour of your father, who could be very preachy, opinionated type of person, and so it could be those kind of things too, and it'd be debating. Their self-belief, their belief system will be very much like, I know best, there's no what do you call it, it's it is interesting because it gives ninth house, and Sagittarius is quite preachy sign. You know, the connotation. Obviously, your ninth house might be different, but it still will have connotations of Sagittarius because they have this belief system, and sometimes they can be pushing it on. So now the planet of speech is there, so it's definitely going to try to push it on. So this is quite interesting. So you want to look at it from different perspectives and different, you know, sort of ascendants. Quite interesting. So basically, it's all those ninth house stuff, but expanded with all the connotations of the third house and Mercury behind it as well. It's great for travel though, because these people, particularly if they write, they can write some amazing, because obviously it's very expansive, and it'll give you a view, like a mature view, and also fresh eyes through Gemini as well. So their publishing will be amazing. So if they go traveling and they're writing about anything to do with history and classics and spirituality, all that will be just amazing. And obviously it's a trinal house as well, so it is a lucky house in a sense as well. But the happiness and satisfaction and fulfillment of this will be, you know, because obviously Mercury is also dual in its nature, so it'll be changeable, and so. And this is what you see about Mercury normally, because Mercury being like the third house of natural zodiac, they can be quite into fads. So for example, I mean, this is a very silly example, but this is just came to my head because I had nothing planned to say. Say for example, for ladies, say if a particular type of nail shape or nail color or nail style comes on, because because it's third house, so it's like you're looking through a magazine, gossip magazine, and there's like, I don't know, say Angelina Jolie or somebody, one of the Kardashians has worn a particular type of nail or whatever, so they'd be into it, and they'd be like doing this, and then the following week somebody else is doing something else, so they've just completely changed camp and they've gone on to the other one. This is what Mercury is about, because it is changeable and he likes to try new things, new trends. You know, these people like to be on top of their game, and now they're going in a house that is very intellectual. Sorry, not intellectual. It's very kind of wisdom, higher knowledge, you know, that kind of thing. So it needs to be grounded a little bit, because it's not grounded, because it's Mercury does best in earthy signs, and this is the connotation of the ninth house is quite fiery, so their speech could be a little bit more kind of purposeful in a sense as well. However, in terms of like anything to do with learning and stuff like that, they will be amazing, and they'll be amazing at putting their message through. So if I go through the zodiac, so I can actually tell you, I need to just look at a chart. So for Aries ascendant, this will be obviously Mercury itself rules the third house and it's right opposite the Sagittarius. So this is going to be like third house ruler in the ninth house, and you know, anything to do with the third house is going to grow stronger over time. So this will be somebody who learns new skills whenever they travel. They love traveling, going to, you know, like learning about law and things to do with judiciary, things to do with and they can really write, and because it rules the sixth house as well, all the information and data will be very precise, and they will be able to deliver that really, really, really well. So that will be for an Aries ascendant. And then we have for Taurus ascendant, this will be Mercury will be their second and the fifth house ruler in the ninth house. So this will be a situation where it will create money for them, and also because, don't forget, from there Mercury will if I go back to Aries ascendant, from where that is, where it's sitting, Mercury going into the ninth house will be aspecting the third house, so it will be protecting the third house, which is really good. So it will actually give you siblings as well, which will help you with your endeavors. Maybe you travel with them and have fun, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so for Taurus ascendant, this will be their second house ruler and fifth house ruler, as I was saying. Sorry, just like distraction there. We'll be going into the ninth house, which is Capricorn for them. So this will be much more grounded because obviously it's an earthy sign, and this is how Mercury does better in an earthy sign. It's much more grounded. It's a little bit more serious as well because Saturn's sign too. So they will be much more, because it's a serious sign. So their belief system is quite serious for them, and it really kind of grounds Mercury in this house. They will watch how they are with their speech, with their children, about their belief system, because that will be their belief system. Obviously, is quite serious because this is obviously a very serious house. You know, Capricorn, ruled by Saturn as well. But it creates this amazing Dhan yoga of second and fifth house ruler in the ninth house, or second ruler in the ninth house. So it is really nice. And they will just be like, they want that wisdom to be shared with their children or student, because that's fifth house as well. For Gemini ascendant, this will be first house ruler, and they will be in Aquarius. So for them, everything that they do in terms of the learning, high learning and everything else, they want to also share that with a group of people, because Aquarius is naturally the 11th house of the zodiac. And that will just make them feel, it's got to have a purpose, it's got to have something that makes them feel as though they are connecting with people of similar views and things like that, you know. Whereas like the Taurus will be like, will have some kind of like their belief system. They like to work in a job that's to do with that as well, because it's natural 10th house of the zodiac, and for them also it's a yoga karaka planet, you know, Saturn, so he rules 9th and the 10th house. So but anyway, just going back, but yeah, so for them it's like much more on a humanitarian, much more about sharing their wisdom with groups, and they want to be connecting to those kind of people who they can share this vision with them, if you like. And that'll be that's how it is. They could also gain from it as well, because it's natural 11th house of the zodiac. And that in itself creates a Dhan yoga and Raj yoga as well. So that's pretty good for Taurus and for Gemini. It's a nice thing as well. And then we have, and just actually, let's go back to Gemini. The other thing as well, set this as well, because Mercury also rules their fourth house. It could be that they go abroad to actually study, ninth house, and they end up settling there, you know, or live there or something after they finish, or, you know, something like that. Something like that will happen about the fourth house, because, you know, it's connected to the Gemini ascendant. You know, first and fourth house is Mercury. Then we have Cancer ascendant. For them, Mercury is the third and the 12th house ruler in Pisces, so it will be debilitated for them. So this is where, you know, they do well to communicate, because they could also, this obviously 9th house is also your dad as well, so this is for them, it creates a little bit of difficulty, this Mercury being there, because for one thing they struggle to express themselves, because Mercury is not a good planet for them, ruling third house and the 12th house, so Dushtana house and an Upachaya house. It does get better with time. Going into the 9th house, I'm feeling debilitated, feeling like, you know, when planets are in Pisces, they're a little bit kind of not grounded anyway. And this is Mercury, where it just kind of cannot express itself, so it gets all very emotional, and this natural 12th house of the zodiac, and this is the 12th house ruler as well gone in there. So, you know, they have to really, really be able to articulate. Really working on Mercury will be good, because Mercury is planet of self-expression, and you get, if you don't ask, you don't get, basically, in life, and this is how they have to learn. So in order to be able to make the most of the 9th house, which is like if you like, it's your fulfillment and happiness and luck. It's a trinal house. I need to learn to express myself, and maybe through travel and learning I can actually do that better. So that probably will help them with that thing as well. And obviously it's also because it's like 12th house and everything, when they'll find that they just like get all these messages as well, you know, when they're abroad and traveling too. For Leo ascendant, this will be Mercury will be the 2nd and 11th house ruler going into the 9th house, which is Aries. So this will be a wonderful yoga for them. So it's like it's done yoga, very good, and it's also, you know, it's like it's when the sun gets exalted as well. So for them, this will be really good. Obviously, speech will be very fast, and father could be like that. It could be a really adventurous father. It gives you that flavour. But it's 2nd house ruler of speech, so family values will be like something that they like to pass on, like their lineage. And 11th house ruler as well. So it's just like elder brother and gains and things like that will come through family, being around the family, just exchanging things. Or it could also be that it's you know, they could be like family things. They're just probably very close to the family, because it's a sign of so it connects like family and values, and also the savings and family money going forward. You know, it just creates a really nice, well, a couple of really good done yogas for them of wealth. So their success in that will come through. 9th house stuff will actually, and 2nd house of family will actually kick their luck and happiness as well, comes from that. They could also be quite a religious family as well, in that sense, because of the 2nd house being connected to that. Then we have Virgo ascendant. So for them will be 1st and 10th lord in the 9th house in a friendly sign as well. So this is quite nice too, where their work will they will travel with their work. They could create a job whilst, you know, they could work and travel at the same time. So it will be lovely. And it could be that their work is connected to either Mercury. Well, it could actually bring together like Gemini, because it's the 10th house, and because it's such a fantastic Raj Yoga, and also Dhan Yoga as well. So they could just either do jobs that are mercurial, or jobs that are also to do with agriculture, banking, you know, all that kind of stuff as well. So food, travel, that sort of thing. And then we have for Libra ascendant, this will be 9th ruler in the 9th house, 9th and 12th house ruler. So again, you know, it's a friendly planet for Libra ascendant. So it will be in a really good condition there, aspect in the 3rd house again, you know, so it's just like really good for travel. All 3 houses of travel. 3rd house being aspected by Mercury. Mercury is sitting in the house of travel, and the 12th house also that it rules, Virgo, will be. So it will be very much about learning and publishing and writing about 3rd house, 9th house and 12th house stuff. So and that actually they could get a lot of luck and happiness through travel and moving abroad, things like that. For Scorpio ascendant, this would be like Gemini is 8th and 11th lord in Cancer. So this will be like not a good planet for Scorpio ascendant. This will be agitated. This Mercury will be agitated because it's going into Cancer. It's an emotional sign for a very earthy planet that's like intellectual, practical, and it's gone into an emotional house. So, but however, it does create a Dhan Yoga, so it's 11th lord in the 9th house. So with time, they will actually gain happiness and have the wisdom to actually really enjoy the fruits of that 9th house. It's also accolades, so they can actually, through studying, learning, higher education, higher, they can actually gain accolades, and their circle of friends will expand as well with that. But through that, there could be some losses as well, because they, Gemini, Gemini is the 8th house for Mercury, for Scorpio ascendant, so 8th house ruler. So there could be some losses there as well. And then we have for Sagittarius ascendant, so this would be the 7th and 10th house ruler in Leo. So Leo is a friendly sign to Mercury, so it does pretty well. And it's also going to create a really nice done yoga, because it is actually the 10th lord in the 9th house and 7th lord as well in the 9th house. So it does create really good things. So it could be that they work with a spouse, and maybe they meet their spouse at the higher education place, or whilst they're traveling and they start working together, some form of things like that. But it's really quite nice actually. And then for Capricorn ascendant, this is 6th and 9th lord. So in the 9th house, sorry, 6, 6 and also 8th lords in the 6 and 8. Oh gosh, I'm looking at the wrong thing now. Sorry, Capricorn. So it is like 6 and 9th lord in the 9th house. So again, it's good. It will be a father. Sorry, just like keep getting distracted. So this is like the father can be quite critical, because Mercury, even though it's in its own sign and it's good, but it gives that very critical, very intellectual father. But it's sitting in the natural 6th house, and it rules the 6th house. So it could be that the father is in medicine, in kind of healing, something like that, or it could be a doctor, some form of thing like that. But it will be very much healing or traveling, and it could also be a lawyer as well. Very likely that it is a lawyer. But it would just be quite a critical. It would be quite like intellectual father as well. It gives that kind of connotations as well. And then we have for Aquarius ascendant, this will be like the 5th and 8th house ruler. Sorry, this is what I was getting mixed up like just before. 5th and 8th house ruler in the 9th house. So 9th house will be Libra. So this will be like 5th house ruler in the 9th house. That's quite nice, So the education of the children will be very good, and the children will be artistic as well, because 9th house being Libra, they'll have really wonderful, happy, very artistic, creative children, highly educated, have the gift of the gap, or be able to speak, on all levels. Nice speech it gives them as well. It also is 8th house ruler as well. So, but because actually these two houses are quite nice as well, what will happen is sometimes, there could be like times that they something they say or they do upsets the children or something like that. But generally speaking, it's really quite nice setting. They could be talking about like digesting and dissecting numbers, if you like, or they could be like they're all into astrology or the cults or psychology together and everything, because 9th house and 8th house are coming together. Definitely could be a healer as well, and but it will be nice, it will be nice. Nice people, very much into research, all of them, because they'll have all these fantastic 5th and 9th house stuff going on, very two trinal houses. And for Pisces ascendant, this will be Mercury rules their 4th and 7th house, will be in Scorpio, so it would not be that great to feel in as such. Mercury will be in the same as for Leo ascendant. Mercury will be in Mars's house, so we just got to be careful about the speech and everything. However, it is a trinal house, and it does create a nice Raj Yoga 7th house ruler in the 9th house, or 4th house ruler in the 9th house. So it is quite nice, but it's again, because it's a natural 8th house of the zodiac. This will be somebody who, they will, whatever message they want to put out, or their education could be very sort of research based. everything that they've learned, or could be about taxes, they learned accountancy, or it could even be something to do with taxes, inheritance, insurance, things like that, that kind of stuff. And that's it. So I hope that was okay, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Thank you.